Hola, I'm Joe Pardavila. Welcome back to the Forbes Books podcast. And today I'm circling back with the amazing Jaclynn Brennan, the CEO of Fylí. If you didn't listen to our interview a couple years ago, Fylí is a network as a service business for early stage female founders offering education, peer-to-peer mentorship, leadership advancement, and funding opportunities. With alarming stats on female founders not receiving the same support and funding as their male counterparts, Jaclynn is on a mission to change that. We're going to get into her passion for supporting and empowering women in their entrepreneurial journeys and talk about what Fylí has been up to over the past year and what's next for the tribe. Jaclynn, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Joe. I'm really happy to be here.
So it's been a while since we spoke, and I look back at my records because, I keep studious records, but it was November of 2021. You had just gotten Fylí going, driven through the pandemic. You were doing a lot of virtual stuff. So talk to me about the current state of Fylí. I mean, I'm sure there's a virtual nature to it, but how important to you is it the fact that now you are able to be full Fylí, full blown? You could do events in public, meets. How important is that for the Fylí tribe?
Yeah, so thanks so much, Joe. So much has happened over the past year of running Fylí. And the biggest thing I'm most proud of is getting to see our women get through a year of their cohort. Just the amount of support, the relationships that were built, how they're crushing their businesses, raising capital, and just building these really true friendships. That's been phenomenal. There's a few key highlights that I'll mention. One of them was our Salon Series tour with UBS Bank. We did a 4-market tour titled Own Your Worth, teaching women how to be unapologetic about creating wealth, legacy, and impact. And these events were phenomenal. I mean, this brought our community together. We haven't been together in so long. We got to go into key markets, host panel discussions, have VIP dinners, promote networking, get founders and funders together. And then another huge highlight was our retreat that we held in the Dominican Republic last August. So getting to bring our women together in person and do some amazing activities, personal and professional growth.
I mean, I'm stating the obvious here, but how much cooler is it now, the fact that you're able to do these in person? Because I know the early days of Fylí was pretty much 100% virtual because of around the timing that you guys started it. So how much more fulfilling is it to have this human interaction with these founders?
I think it's necessary to build relationships, to grow, to really foster human connection. You have to be able to do it in person. I mean, we are a mostly virtual company. We operate on a hybrid model, but just giving our founders the option to meet in different cities, to attend events, I really do believe it's important to get that face time, to get that physical human connection. And you're right, when we did start Fylí, it was started literally at my laptop, sitting at my little apartment in New York City on Wall Street in the middle of the pandemic. So that's when our virtual community really grew. And now we're at a point where we're growing, we're expanding. We have women applying for cohorts in different countries, and it's still all been word of mouth. But I'm really excited for the future, for what we're developing, some new products that are going to be coming out soon, and for really being able to go all in.
Cool. And I want to pull on that thread a little bit about the networking and the importance of it. Now that we're in this post-pandemic world where I think many people have this expectation of, I'm going to find a job that's either hybrid or full virtual, and then I could just live my best life and be happy. But the one thing in living in that virtual world is that lack of networking. I'm just curious what your taking is on the next generation of founders who have come up in this world of, hey, I'm going to do everything virtually, but then that opportunity to network makes it so much harder. How do you talk to founders about that and handling those networking opportunities? Because if they're not part of a Fylí and getting together with these amazing female founders in a personal setting, how do you network?
Yeah, that's a great point, Joe, because not only is it hard to network when you're just fully remote and virtual, but it's lonely. Like you don't have those moments, to grab coffee with your coworker or to chat over your lunch. You feel like you're on your own. So I do really encourage founders to find their virtual community, whether that's monthly meetups, even if it's virtually, and also just getting involved in things happening in your area. I'm based in Austin, Texas, and there are so many events and resources that are free for founders to literally just come together and meet one another. And I know that these events are popping up in other cities. And my advice is if you don't have anything like that where you are, then start one. Literally start a founders meetup and find your tribe.
Mm, that's great. Great advice. And what is your feelings now in terms of female founders? According to an EY report, only about 20% of funded companies have women founders. So talk to me about the current state of female founders.
Yeah, so I would say that I wish I had better news to report, but unfortunately, the venture capital funding gap has gone even lower in
Ay,
2023 for female founders.
ay.
It's a little bit disheartening that this is happening because there are so many fantastic statistics that prove that women get the job done. We exit businesses 1 year faster, we triple revenue and income, we prove ourselves to be great leaders. And it's hard. It's not easy to be a female founder in this current environment and economic bear market. But what I can say is that women are not backing down. You see more women starting businesses now than ever. So the funding and the venture eventually has to change. And we are starting to see women sitting at the other side of the table, more women in venture capital, more female LPs, more female angel investors. Not enough, but we're getting there. And I do believe that what is happening is that female founders are passing the roadmap. We're sharing resources, we're sharing connections, and we're actually helping each other up.
And speaking of funding and scaling in that breath, Fylí's in the middle of a seed round. Talk to me about the current status of that.
Yeah, so we raised a pre seed round in 2022, and now we're going after our seed round. We are really looking for institutional partners to really help us grow and scale and bring in resources and opportunities and ops support in a big way. There is going to be a tech component of Fylí where we're able to take that human connection, take what we've created that makes it so special, and help automate some of it, still keeping that human connection, but being able to allow us to grow on this global level, to have intercommunication between members, geotag locations, cohorts being able to chat, and then our team being able to facilitate through this technology. So it's something that we are definitely excited to build. We're excited to grow and expand our team. So there's a lot in the works.
That's great. And you talked about funding the company and the way you've built it from the ground up. I want to talk about your sort of experience when it comes to raising funds for your company and what it's like now. Because when I speak to a lot of female founders, they walk into these rooms where it's generally 90 to 99% men in the room, and then they're trying to pitch this idea where they're looking at these gentlemen and they have like a glazed look, like deer in headlights, like I don't even know what to do with this. What has your experience been like, and how's it different over the last year since the pre-seed?
Yeah, so I would say my experience with the pre seed was a little bit different. I didn't have that because I was raising from angel investors
Okay.
and family offices. I wasn't taking institutional capital. So the interesting part is when I look at my cap table from pre seed, a lot of those investors were men. They were fathers. They were men that understood what we were doing. They were men that really supported the mission of Fylí. So I had a pretty good experience in terms of the investors that were able to come in for that round. But it was still hard. I mean, I was told no more times than I can possibly count. And it's really challenging to learn how to build that resiliency as a founder, to get up every day, to keep fighting for what you believe in, to stay motivated, even when you're being rejected. Like it's something that you have to learn as a founder. And now in today, in what I'm doing with our seed round, I'm constantly pitching venture capital funds. And the good part is I'm pitching funds that are known for investing in women and education and impact and community. But I'm still getting a lot of no's.
Mm.
And I believe that this is because of the current market and people are really focusing on safer bets for scalability or companies that can 10x really quickly, like tech companies. So it is challenging, but I'm definitely not backing down.
Yeah, I know you often talk about don't be discouraged by the word no. You
Yes.
showed that there, but also developing your inner confidence to ride that out. I mean, one of the things I kind of use reverse psychology on myself when I get rejected, and the way I do it is, I know it's kind of probably silly, but when someone rejects me for something, I'll usually say like it's their loss because they're not going to find a better version of me. I just feel that deep in my soul. So how do you develop your inner confidence to work through those no's, Jax?
Yeah. So, a few things. One, I kind of go back to my core mission and I remind myself why I'm doing this. And I actually save a few messages on my phone from women in our community who have thanked us, who have said this has been life changing for them, like those amazing messages that just keep you going. And I'll reread them because it will bring me back to my core and remind me why I'm doing what I'm doing. And then number two, when I'm feeling discouraged and I'm feeling like I need to be lifted, my spirits, I turn to my own tribe, my own community of badass women and founders who've supported me. And I'll tell them what I'm going through and we'll share experiences. And those people that fill your cup up, it really helps to have those people around.
And from the mental side of things, another part of the mental side of things is just building a structure. And when I talk to folks who want to get into podcasting, I always say expectations. It's expectations of the audience and expectations of yourself. So I don't know how you talk to founders when it comes to building expectations, but how is that part of the conversation? Because I think that's such a big part of this world. The old under promise, over deliver, or just trying to fill a need that people, it's like the old entrepreneurial conundrum: find a problem, fix a problem. How do you talk to founders when it comes to expectations, not only for themselves, but then also for their market?
Yeah, so that's a great point, Joe. We're honest with them. I mean, we really break down the current market, what's happening, and we coach them for pitching. Going into a pitch with founders, we'll do practices, we'll ask them really tough questions. We'll be a little bit hard on them because they have to understand resiliency. They have to be ready either way. They have to be ready for the hard questions. They have to be ready for the no. They have to be ready for the feedback. So managing expectations is really important. I think we have this weird perception about entrepreneurship by watching all of these movies and shows that have been out on Netflix that a guy sitting at a table with the napkin writes an idea, gets a $3 million check. Like it doesn't work that way, especially for women. It does not happen. So it is a matter of managing expectations.
And what's funny, you mentioned about like these these shows that sort of lionize entrepreneurs. And I think I've even joked with you when I was a kid that if you told someone you're an entrepreneur, people would automatically assume you're unemployed. And the term entrepreneurship has taken so much more weight. But I feel like in a way, that's great, obviously, but in a way it's damaged because now all of a sudden success is quantified by billions and not millions. Being a millionaire, it's like, oh, you're a millionaire? I don't know, that means nothing to me. I want to be a billionaire. Tying that into expectations, what do you make an expectation of success? I mean, is it achieving 100 millions to 500 million? Is it being a billionaire? How do you define success to your tribe?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, Joe, we have every founder in our cohort define their own version of success because I really do believe it's different for everybody. My definition of success has changed over the years. It really used to be about financial
Mm.
and monetary success. And that's still a part of it. But I've got to be, around some of the wealthiest people in the world, the 1%, and they're not always the happiest. So for me, it's financial, location, and creative freedom. That
Mm.
is my idea of success. And it's not measured in millions or billions, but it's being measured by getting to live where I want, getting to work on what I want, and not having to worry about the burdens of financial stress.
Mm. It's a good way to live.
Yes, exactly. That's my definition. What's yours? I'm curious.
Honestly, yeah, it's so funny you talk about finances because I've been talking to people about this lately, and I'm not driven by financial gains. I've been in the media industry my entire life, so if anyone knows, if you work in media, you're not going to be rich off it. There's you can count the Oprahs and the Tyler Perrys in one hand who are multi millionaires and probably billionaires. So financial success was never like a striver for me because I just knew it wasn't in the cards. But to me, it's living a comfortable life where if I want to live wherever I want to live the way I want to live, and also then have a job that allows me to borrow a phrase, the creative freedom to do my thing. To me, that's happiness. And so my job is different from what I used to have when I was working in morning radio. It's the intensity levels dropped off because I'm no longer working in live media. But the idea of just being able to create things in my own time, in my own space, I think that's what makes me happy, and that's what I kind of strive for. Like it'd be cool, like if my job paid $1 million, sure, that'd be awesome. But I don't know how much more different my life would be. Maybe my house would be a little bigger. Like that's the one thing about financial success. And I don't have kids, Jack. So if I had kids, maybe I'd be like, oh God, I want to leave a big nest egg for my kids. But I think a lot of people are so driven financially, and when you look at these folks that have millions and millions of dollars, and you think, well, what can you do with that? Like, how many houses do you need? Do you need a plane? Can't you just fly commercial? So again, everyone has their own meaning of happiness and success. But to me, it's like, I think the word comfortable is very important. I like being comfortable in my job and in my life. And so if I could achieve those two things, I'm a happy camper.
Yeah, I totally get it. And I think it's like the family unit, the health, and the finances. That's it. That's it. That's all
Yeah.
I need.
Nice. And you mentioned cohorts, and from what I understand, you are taking applications for the April cohorts. And so, before we get into the application process, talk to me about cohorts. What does it mean? What does it entail? And then get into what you're looking for in April.
Yes, absolutely. So cohorts are the core of our business at what we do with Fylí. They are small groups of 8 to 10 women for a year-long commitment. You have to apply, you're vetted, you go through an interview process with our team. And now here's the interesting part. When you're going through the interview, we are asking you questions about your core values, your skills, and your personality. This is not based on how much money you have in the bank or where you're currently at with your business. So, we're really doing a deep dive to find out who you are as an individual, what motivates you, and what your vision is for what you're building. So, that's how we do our interview process, which is unlike, any other mastermind that I've found. And a little bit more untraditional. This is where the magic happens in the pairings. So you are paired in one of these groups. They are industry agnostic, and there's a non-competitive cohort advantage, meaning you will not be in a cohort with another female founder who's in the same industry as you are.
Mm.
So our cohorts are like marketing, finance, technology, creative, artists, and they're all sitting together at the table, and they each have a superpower or unique skill set to contribute to one another. And they're very diverse in age, they're diverse in location. So the pairings are really the magic piece of this. Each member has a superpower to contribute. Every cohort gets a dedicated pathfinder who serves as their facilitator through the year. So it's like the mom of the group. She is checking in on you every single Monday. She's holding you accountable. She's making sure you have everything on your calendar. She guides you through the Fylí program. Then we have monthly roundtable forums with each cohort. These are 4.5 hour deep dive strategy sessions, personal and professional. We teach women how to make informed and educated asks for their business and their personal life. And they're very, very powerful. We've seen women move mountains literally at these roundtable forums. It is my favorite part of what we do. And then we do bi-monthly virtual masterclass educational sessions. We have a unique curriculum structure. We built this curriculum based on what founders needed in their journey. So everything from building an advisory board to learning your P&Ls to creating an 18-month strategy plan to raising capital to preventing burnout. Our masterclass sessions are the best because we're bringing in wonderful, experienced individuals to lead them. And then we do quarterly deep dives. So we get action and goal setting in place. We want to know what are your short and long term goals, and we hold you accountable to them every quarter. And then every other month, we have our bi-monthly accountability pairing system between our members themselves. This is where they really get to know one another. This is where they have that one-on-one time virtually or in person if they're in the same city, and they're holding each other accountable. So this bi-monthly accountability pairing really works. And then lastly, you are getting business promotion, speaking opportunities, and mentorship in Fylí. So that is everything that our cohort model currently serves. And it is $8,000 for the year, but it is paid quarterly. So we do our best to make it affordable. It's a tax write off, and 60% of our members make it back in one quarter
Wow.
through education, partnerships, connections, sales, or investment opportunities.
And how many cohorts are we talking here?
Yeah, so last year we did four. We just opened a new cohort the first week of January now for 2023. And our goal for this year is to have 10 cohorts running.
Wow. That's a lot.
That is our goal. That is the goal, Joe.
That's awesome. And I want to step back a little bit and talk about Fylí's founding, because from what I understand, and this is something I'd never heard of before, Fylí's model is a network as a service, so NaaS, right? What's it like founding a company like that? Because I think a lot of people in the business space are familiar with SaaS and every other acronym, but what is it like building a company that is a network as a service business as opposed to others?
Yeah, so it's definitely built on human connection, and I think it's maybe a little bit more difficult for VCs or private equity people to understand. So NaaS is a network as a service, and we are selling products to people, and we're scaling it through community. So it's definitely a different type of model. There will be a tech component to it eventually, but really our core business is built on human connection, bringing people together, guiding them, and creating impact.
Hmm. Is there any group or organization that you sort of patterned yourself after? Because it's. I always like to joke. Apple never did anything first. They saw what other people did and they just made it better. Was there another NaaS out there that you were like, oh, okay, I like to do that, but for female founders, or even one that were similar to what you were doing, but you want to make it your own?
Yeah. So, when we did a lot of deep dive research when we're starting Feely, found YPO, Young Presidents
Oh yeah.
Organization, and they're definitely different because you have to have a certain amount of revenue and a
Hmm.
certain amount of employees to join each chapter, and their cohorts are self guided. But they're a wonderful organization that's been around forever. So we really look towards YPO. We also, as we started Feely and through the pandemic, a company grew in this space called Chief, and Chief
Oh
is
yeah.
focused on corporate executive women. Chief is doing more of a B2B play where corporate companies are paying for the membership of their female leaders, and they're another fantastic company. And Feely is different because we are focused on early stage female founders. So our model is different. We don't have physical clubhouse locations. We are partnered with Soho House, so we'll never plan to build physical locations. We work with different partners. So there are core things that set us apart. But good question, because there are other communities out there that have maybe a similar model.
And on a personal note, I know you've been an entrepreneur for more than a decade. You've learned a lot, and you've been very transparent about having a very bad burnout at one point. What do you see as the future for yourself? I mean, I know Feely is basically your baby right now, and you're doing everything you can to make it a success. But we talked about what brings you joy, but what do you see as the future for yourself and for Feely in the next couple of years?
That's a great question, Joe. What I would love to see and what I envision is being able to go to different core markets to train teams, to open cohorts globally, and to really see it turn into something so much bigger than it is today. I would love to eventually see a venture arm component to partner with a fund
Hmm.
to be able to invest in women that are coming through our cohorts. I'd love to see our curriculum structure get turned into online education platforms that we can share with other communities. I would love to see a Feely e-commerce shop for any members in our global community that are creating products. I mean, there's so many things that I'd love to see.
Hmm.
And on a personal level, I would just hope that I can remain to stay in balance of life, of travel, of running this business, of getting to do things that are creative, and of hopefully starting a family.
That's awesome. And for anyone who follows you on Instagram, you're quite a follow, because and quite exhausting follow, because the last year you were just all over the place. And you talk about staying centered. How do you stay centered in all of that? I mean, and for lack of a better word, the madness of the travel and putting these cohorts together and building a company from scratch. What are some tips and tricks or life hacks that you've used yourself that have helped you over the last couple of years? Because for lack of a better term, it's been a whirlwind. I think it's safe to say, Jax. So how do you keep yourself grounded?
Yeah. Well, I would say, listen, I don't always do the best job, but I try. I do exercise every morning, first thing. I do meditate. I do journal. I do know myself that when I travel, sometimes that stuff goes out the window with crazy schedules. But I have put in place recently some safeguards, some people in my life that know me really well that will call me out on my shit if I am not being centered and grounded.
That's great.
Who
That's
will
awesome.
literally say, girl, get back to it, you know? And I think it's important to have those people in your life. And I do think it's important to carve out time for yourself to rest and recover. And I've learned many hard lessons by not resting, by not sleeping enough, by pushing myself too hard. And it's not good for anybody. And it's certainly not good for your company, your employees, your team. So I am also working really hard to shut my computer down at a normal hour. I work from home. So dedicating work to one space in my home so that I can shut the door at the end of the day and not take it with me. And, I think it's a constant learning process.
And you've told me privately that the next few months and maybe year, you're going to be pretty much locked into Austin. So if you are living in Austin, there's a good chance you may run to Jaclynn Brennan one of these days. So make sure you say hi to her. So, but is that true? Are you going to keep your word that you're going to try to be
Yes,
as stellar as
I
possible?
am.
Okay.
I really love Austin so much, and I'm happy to call this city home. What an amazing community of founders and support and networking and just really good people. So I'm happy to be here.
Cool. So if someone does say, "Hey, I heard you on the podcast. Can I say hi?" It'll be okay. It won't be weird or anything, right?
No, not at all. Please say hi.
And lastly, for the folks who want to be a part of the cohort, what do they have to do? Where do they go?
So please head to FyliTribe.com, FYLI tribe.com, and click on apply. I promise the application only takes less than 10 minutes, should be about 7 minutes, and then it will automatically set up an interview with our team. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to have you apply. We are taking early stage female founders. So number one, that can even mean pre-revenue. You have the idea, you're ready to rock, or up to Series A. So please join us.
That's Jaclynn Brennan, CEO of Fylí. Jaclynn, always great chatting with you. Good luck in 2023.
Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate you having me today.
You're welcome. And that's it for this episode of the Forbes Books Podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure you take a second to subscribe so you automatically get new shows when they drop. Also, if you have a minute, I'd love if you left us a review so more amazing entrepreneurs like yourself can discover the show. And please don't forget the golden rule and treat others as you want to be treated. Thanks for listening. Until next time, adios.